bum 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 bum
Drama.
bum.
Action. Comedy. Palace intrigue. Story Squad presents Clash of the Pencils. Woo! Welcome, one and all, to another brisk evening here in Milford, Delaware. We have some great stories to Story Squad matchups for you tonight in Clash of the Pencils. Neck at neck right now on the leaderboard, and it's only going to get tighter after tonight. We're going to go over all the great submissions, recap the day's highlights, and more. Welcome back to the Clash of the Pencils nightly live stream, the most watched creative writing esport league live stream in the history of the internet. I'm your host, Tom Sherman. We're here, as we are every night, to review the top 3 short story submissions from around the net, get the latest scores, and see who's atop the leaderboard. Every day we field anywhere from 0s to 10s of submissions daily, which then get run through our high-tech computer, Storybot 3000, which uses, among other things, old episodes of Mythbusters to analyze every story. We then take Storybot's top 3 picks and let you, the public, decide on tonight's winner. Alongside me today, we've got Greg Roll, the Egg Roll Peterson. Why do they call you Greg Roll the Egg Roll there, Egg Roll?
Despite Martin's best efforts to keep Henry cold, the hippo's corpse had been slowly rotting for days, and it had spent the last few hours slowly rotting in the Texas sun. It was probably bloated from the heat and ready to rupture anyhow, but the sudden impact with the ground made it explode. Hey, Tom!
Wow. I thought it was because you liked egg rolls, but apparently not. Well, good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
Let's before we get underway, let's take a quick look at the scoreboard right now or the leaderboard. Champion and Sar Blue 7788 neck at neck at 280 apiece atop the leaderboard. Slice with 264. Joanna Man still lurking in the background with 169. A lot of tough competition here coming into midweek.
Yeah, I see that Slice, only 2 submissions. Wondering the doctor's there. I want to see some new blood. There's some great authors out there. Great authors that need to come in and get into this competition.
We're looking for some action here from the doctor, Nancy Drew, or repeat. You know, that would be nice to kind of crack into this inner circle that champion Sar Blue 7788, Slice, and Joanna Man have created for themselves. And let's remind all the folks out there what today's writing prompt was as well. Use the following words in your story: sand, allowance, and idea. So kind of fill in the blanks around those words. Where would you go with this if you were an author here, Egg Roll?
Well, I mean, I've got an idea. We're going to use my allowance to buy a whole lot of sand and then just see where it goes. You got all 3 of them, get them out of the way early, and then you can kind of be really unfettered and exploring the space.
Interesting tactic there. Let's see if any of the authors take that route today. And before we do get into the stories, let's remind the folks what everyone's playing for tonight. Besides fame and glory, an exclusive IOU NFT, a unique 1 out of 10,000 NFT, which is actually an IOU for a future NFT from an upcoming 10,000 NFT drop from Story Squad. And so that current estimated cash value of the IOU NFT is actually $100 US. Love it. Love the air horns coming in from Storybot. Or maybe that was Frazzled Aardvark. I don't know who the hype man is, but I love it. Here's a little more about NFTs for the curious at heart. Think of NFTs like keys to the future. Right now, as humans, we interact with businesses and organizations much like ants might their queen, slaving away day in and day out for resources to give to the queen so that she may survive. NFTs turn this one-directional relationship into a community partnership. Owning NFTs of organizations will allow those owners special perks like early access to future products, exclusive content behind paywalls, and access to the inner community. Not only that, but NFTs are transferable, allowing owners to sell at a premium, which in turn appreciate all other NFTs held by community members. So NFTs are part art, part online identity, part admission to a virtual country club, part crypto speculation, part generational wealth, and all real, baby. If that doesn't make you want to handwrite a story and send it in, I don't know what will.
I don't know. I question your cost-benefit analysis at that point.
Seriously. But without further ado, let's just get right into the top three for the day. This first one actually coming from some repeat did crack the inner circle. Repeat. That is correct. So check this one out. Let's see if they've got what it takes to bring home the gold tonight. As we crested the next ridge, heat waves shimmered off the endless sand dunes that stretched to the horizon. Our small expedition force had been journeying for 3 days across the seemingly endless desert. Our camels were running tired, our water supply was running low, and our tempers were running thin. "Stop! Look!" my second-in-command shouted. "There's an oasis in the distance." He gesticulated wildly towards our left, his excitement palpable. Everyone else in our party's immediate reaction was to change our course, but I was sure what he saw was just another optical illusion. "Changing course is not a good idea," I stated as calmly as I could. "If we stay on our current course, we'll be in Zanzibar by morning." My decision as commander should have been final, but I had not made allowance for the desperation my men felt. They immediately overpowered me, tied me to the back of a camel, and took off in a new direction. Of course, there was no oasis, and we all perished in the unrelenting desert heat.
Woo.
So newcomer Repeat bringing a tale of mutiny in the sea of the desert, a commander unable to keep his troops on track to Zanzibar, instead tied to a camel as the troops pursue a mirage, only for them all to perish.
Yeah, you can't help but wonder, is there some sort of connection between sort of the NFT and that oasis and the mirage? It's almost like there was autobiographical unconscious being thrown onto the map saying, is this real? Can we get this cryptocurrency prize? I don't know. What I loved about this was that the setting was very strong. I think the sand dunes, the camel, the small expedition force, and then all of the status that goes in between, like a traveling party and decision making there. The oasis as being, are people seeing it or are they not, was the crux of the plot. I could have used a little bit more character development. It seemed like that decision making was, I wanted to know more about why, like, was it seemed like the heat and the desperation sort of flattened all the character personalities. And I could have used a little bit more dialogue, but overall, I liked the ending to the story. It wasn't a happy ending.
It was not. I thought the plot was one of the strongest points here, definitely, because it had it all. I mean, he set it up with the desperation of the camels are tired, we're running out of water, tempers are thin. You see a mirage, you try to get the troops, and then what do? They mutiny, they tie you to the camel. So and then everybody dies in the desert. So the twists were there, kind of. I didn't really see that coming. I thought they were going to get to Zanzibar, maybe. The character, yeah, a little lackluster. This is what I want to say about the setting, though. They only used the word sand once, and yet I could see sand and dunes and desert throughout the whole. So it was great imagery, most definitely. I also want to just point out, I was tracking all the uses of allowance, sand, and idea across these top three stories. Allowance Unlike how you suggested of it being an allowance for a child, this is a behavioral allowance.
Allowance for desperation.
Mhm. Very, very interesting usage of allowance there. And then the idea was also it was part of a dialogue where I don't think that's a good idea, guys. So interesting uses of the three words that needed to be used.
I want to final thought on this. I think it really succeeds, like you said, with sand kind of suffusing our imagination of this whole thing, but only being used once. The first couple sentences did a really, really good job of putting concrete images in our head and establishing tension and like struggle right away. Those two things like that drew us into both the plot and the setting of the story really, really firmly. When you only have one page to write it, that's a very strong opening gambit, if you will.
Right, you are, egg roll. Let's check out Slices to see what they have to say in response. Mom said we didn't have enough money for the gas to get to the beach. I told her I had the idea to have my allowance paid in sand. That way we could save money for gas and maybe get out of the city once in a while. Even if that didn't work, I could save up enough sand to make my own beach in the apartment. North Philadelphia is the most beautiful place in the world, with the kindest neighbors, most familiar family members, and the sun always shines here. There's something about the sandy toes and sharp sun that cooks your arms like hot dogs and gets you squinting so much you have to salute the see-through. Wildwood, when you can get there, offers that sand spot and those wondrous waves we crave. Mom would go out in the riptide darkness to collect for my allowance. She took our spackle bucket and returned from playgrounds with it, full of fine quartzy gold. By the time flyers started going up around the neighborhood advising all to be on the lookout for the sand thief, Mom's forearms had gotten massive. She was stout to start with. She said she never lost the baby weight after me and loved pizza steaks. Her hands were calloused as a bricklayer's. Whenever I got the bucket full, I thankfully dumped it on the floor of my bedroom. It was about 6 months into my sand allowance that the seagulls started showing up at my window. Yesterday, my dad came home early from work. He blew out his back and wasn't allowed to go back to the site. I thought we all needed a vacation, so I dragged Mom and Dad to my room, opened the windows to let the birds in, and we ate pretzels in the sand, squinting at the skyline, away. So here we have a tale of a kid in North Philadelphia sacrificing their personal wealth for their families, a mother willing to skirt the wrong side of the law to fulfill her child's altruism, and a dad holding it all together with a construction job, but now potentially out of work. And it all comes down to a much-needed beach vacation, including seagulls right there in the room. Nice little tale about mental health days in these trying times.
Yeah, it puts being on the beach to a whole new meaning to that phrase. I first thing that struck me about this was it was, how long was it? Was it a month? It was about a month from my sand allowance before the seagulls came in. Mm-hmm. Favorite line out of the whole thing. I thought this, in terms of knowing Slice's writing, this was a very controlled and measured. It seemed like the author followed what I was saying, was getting all three of the words out immediately. It was like my idea for the allowance in sand is like boom, boom, boom. We get that early on to check those boxes. But then, unlike the first one, the sand was repeated over and over. But then the sand was kind of the crux of what was going on. It was sort of surreal, the scene of accumulating all this sand.
Yeah. No, and that I really enjoyed that irony of the kid. You know, the kid doesn't want to be a burden, right, to the family. So it says, hey, I don't want allowance. And yet that just creates a bigger burden. By now, the mom has to go around stealing sand at night, but she does it, and then the kid lets the seagulls in the house. And it's like this sweet innocence where, like, it's a great break from reality. But at the same time, I don't want to clean up that room the next morning.
It's a kid's picture book. It begs for illustration. Can't you just kind of want to see this get weirder and weirder as we get this indoor beach scene? I think it could be something along those lines, like a comic or an illustrated little picture book.
So strong setting here for sure. What do you think about the characters in the plot here? I mean, there was a plot. I think the crux of the tension was really the dad coming home and being unable to work construction again. Beyond the misdemeanors of sand thieving.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I like the characters too. I mean, we had the mom with the large forearms.
Yeah, calloused hands. She liked pizza steaks. There were some great details describing the mom.
So another interesting triangle here that we've gotten from Slice, and now it all comes down to SAR Blue 7788, and let's see how they handled this prompt. Allowance of this type of behavior is unbefitting of a noble. Geralt had raised his voice. He then cleared his throat and continued. Emperor Yuko, her actions should be punished. I stared down into my cup of tea. There was a pit deep in my stomach, and the guilt gnawed at the back of my mind. He was right. He was always right. Across the table from me, Yuko sighed. Under normal circumstances, I would agree with you. But our lives right now are far from normal. It's hard enough trying to survive this curse, but the added difficulty of trying to keep it a secret. He shook his head. But your excellency, she abruptly left dinner with you and Lord Akenti. Then she blatantly lied with so many guards around. Do you have any idea how this could affect your image? I'm well aware of her actions, Geralt, but I will issue no punishment. Her actions were led by good intentions. She was forced to think quickly. What we should focus our attention to instead is thinking of some kind of code she can say when she has another vision. He put a hand on his chin. You're both advisors. What do you two think? Although Yuko was willing to look past my mistakes, the guilt still weighed on my mind. But I tried to push past it to focus on the matter at hand. It would have to be something that doesn't come up in normal conversations, so it isn't confusing, I said. Then try something like sand or coconut. Geralt had crossed his arms, seemingly still annoyed by Yuko's decision. But it can't be too odd, or it will still draw attention. How about cherry, like the cherry tree in the garden, Yuko suggested. Geralt and I both nodded in agreement. So in the future, Sarah, you can say cherry to let us know when you have another vision. This has been a learning experience for us all. So here we have an emperor with their advisors, one angry due to an outburst at a banquet by the other. The king defends the guilt-ridden advisor, obviously further disgruntling Geralt. Ultimately, a code is created in case any more psychic visions befall Sarah, our protagonist.
Yeah, thank you for that paraphrase. That helps put me on a little more solid ground. It was a strange world. This one only used sand as a code name, and it was a code name for sort of revealing these secret visions. Or I was interested in the curse, and the visions, and how that led to the governance of the empire. Mm-hmm. Was this some sort of Roman Sibyl who's chained away, who sees sort of visions as an oracular prophecy that can then be used as, I don't know, insights to legislate or govern? Mm-hmm. Unclear as to how this inner chamber, this palace intrigue or inner chamber works. But mm-hmm. I liked the tension. I liked some of the old-fashioned, like the names were great. Yuko.
Geralt. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
There was a lot of mystery. Normal times, the curses, the secrets, the visions. And then beyond that, just the general emperor and castle sort of vibe. I definitely saw a solid setting. I was in a place and throughout it. The allowance was another behavioral word where, this isn't supposed to be allowance. I liked that the sand was this throwaway random word that they didn't get trapped in a bunch of sand imagery. like the other two authors, and they were just able to kind of bypass that. I thought that was great technique. And yeah, I just thought it was a few words away from a great scene where like a couple synonyms or adjectives well placed might have really rounded out some of the dialogue. It's like there was a line where there was about 3 actions was said 3 times in a row, and so I would like to normally I like to see conduct or
Storybot 3000 wants those synonyms.
Yeah, the synonyms are always welcome to Storybot, but I thought this one had the strongest of the characters that we they all I don't know. What's your take on that on the characters?
That's interesting. If I think through all 3 of them, it's like the first one was people trying to survive against the expanse of just staying alive in a desert. The second one was kind of overcoming a claustrophobia by bringing the beach inside and trying to stay alive inside everything. And this one was trying to kind of govern. The characters were trying to govern in a kind of Game of Thrones archetype, somewhere that wasn't recognizably Earth, or was a different time. Different, hard to evaluate the characters, but thinking about how the setting informed the characters, I think, kind of explains it a little bit, if that makes sense.
It does to me, and I'm sure it would to any
Storybot gets it. Like story.
Yeah, I mean,
gets it. I don't know.
In the end, that's what really matters.
The zeros of people watching this,
Right. I mean, they'll get it. Oh, they'll get it after that analysis. And if they don't, send us an email, send us a tweet at Story Squad HQ. We'll definitely keep explaining it until you need no further explanation. You know what else doesn't need further explanation?
What's that, Tom?
How we ended up picking the winner, and that's from the public's vote. So let's just go do that. Like what are we doing? We're sitting here. We're talking about it. We're talking about what Storybot thinks. We're talking about what we think. You know what the people want to talk about? What they think. They don't care about us. They don't care about Storybot. They care about themselves. And good on them for that. That's all I got to say.
Storybot's not going to like that. But, okay.
Well, no, I'm sure they care about Storybot. Yeah, because Storybot gives them the picks. I guess they're saying they don't care about us. I was just trying to lump Storybot in there to feel better about myself. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. Let's hit refresh on this button real quick. Check the new leaderboard. See who wins tonight's round. All right, daily repeat. The newcomer repeat, not repeating yet, but has a chance to repeat the title tomorrow. Let's see if they can keep bringing the heat they brought to that desertscape. Sarblue 7788 coming in second again. I think this is this third time in a row they've come in second. They've really been sniffing out that top spot and just haven't quite been able to get it in the past couple days. Slice, meanwhile, in third place with 115. The champion, the Doctor, and Joanna Man all getting points, but just not in that top spots. Going over to the weekly leaderboard, Sarblue 7788 now taking a somewhat commanding lead, a 40-point lead over Slice. Champion is in third now, dropping from first to third. That's got to hurt. Now with 340 points. Joanna Man in repeat, still below 200. But then again, I mean, get a couple people in the top, box out Sarblue 7788. You never know. There's still a lot of paper to push.
A lot of words to be written. A lot of Storybot 3000 whims to be appeased. He's got what, 2 more opportunities?
We got 2 more opportunities here, folks. That's a fact. One is for tomorrow, and tomorrow's writing prompt is a veteran returns home after a long deployment. Storybot 3000 obviously feeling festive about Veterans Day.
November 11th. Very
November
topical.
11th, armistice. What could our author? Where would you go with this if you were an author?
It'd be interesting to see what veteran and what time period, because I think that would be there's some definite historical fiction possibilities here.
Yeah, a little Odysseus, a long voyage home. I mean, you never know.
No, that would be epic.
So, that'll be interesting to see. And but before we sign off and really let everyone start getting to it, you know what time it is, Greg?
What time is it? Is it time?
Oh, it's time.
All
and
right.
That's right. Time for the top 5 sentences of the day. Boom. Number 5 from Champion. Psh, Yusuf won't stop talking about that stupid abacus ever since he invented it, Abanoob scoffed. But the only reason he had that idea is because his dad created algebra. That was from a rousing tale from Champion, very well historically set in ancient Egypt, about the first person to invent an hourglass, or wanting to attempt to invent an hourglass. Just
interesting, the sand. Oh, I love the incorporation of the sand and the idea right there.
Yeah, it was good, but not good enough for Storybot 3000, unfortunately. This should say number. Oh, wait a minute. This should say number 4. It looks like
number 4 live editing.
Whew, number
Storybot.
4 from Slice. There's something about sandy toes and sharp sun that cracks your arms like hot dogs and gets you squinting so much you have to salute the sea, though.
Well, I love that. That cracks your arms like hot dogs. Excellent. Excellent simile there.
That's a good simile, using like or as if I've ever heard it. Number 3 from Sarblue7788. Then try something like sand or coconut. Geralt had crossed his arms, seemingly still annoyed by Yuko's decision.
Yeah.
Just a masterful use of sand here. Really turning it all around. Number 4 is actually number 2 from Repeat. Our camels were running tired, our water supply was running low, and our tempers were running thin. Just really setting up a lot of tension there in the second sentence or so. And I mean, just the classic use of threes, just kind of a poetic sort of sentence that just kind of sing-songs your way through the night.
Yeah, with the image, that's how you set up all 3 of those, the triangle right there. We got the plot is a function of that tension, the characters and the setting also. It all just pulls you in.
And our number 1 sentence of the day from Joanna Man: sand, allowance, idea. Now, for a little context here, folks, Joanna Man is known to be a little avant-garde, and that's exactly what happened today, kind of giving us a pretzels are making me thirsty type thing, where it's sand, allowance, idea, sand, allowance, idea, sand, allowance, idea, sand. You get it. It's crazy. I think Storybot really liked the use of the M dash, as well as kind of like the title. It was
the grammatical variations into this irregular. I love the sand allowance idea, sand allowance idea, sand allowance idea.
It's certainly something.
It's something. It's significant.
It's not nothing.
It's a significant cultural artifact.
Something is happening here that I might not understand, and you might not understand, but Storybot 3000 understood something, and that's why it ended up taking the top sentence of the day. So, congratulations to Repeat, though, for winning tonight's prize, and that's this bad boy, the number 4 IOU NFT. So once you set up a OpenSea account, I guess, or something, and get us the address, we will drop it right on in there into that wallet. Yeah, you can just hear the money hitting the bank.
Yeah,
right there. It's
not an oasis. It's real. It's
real for Repeat. It was just a mirage for all the other ones.
Right.
That's and that's Clash of the Pencils, folks. That's all it is. And that wraps up another edition of the Clash of the Pencils nightly live stream. So until next time, we'll see you out on the paper. Do you want to participate in the Clash of the Pencils and Story Squad universe? It's easy. Join us on Twitter or in our Discord server at Story Squad HQ. There's lots of ways to participate. Draw some fan art. Play our addictive game of jokes and master strokes, Word Hoax. Or join Greg's monthly book club. And as always, remember to pay your cat tax. Money, fame, and love can all be found here at Story Squad.